and welcome to another episode of Chatting with Jeanine. I'm your host and State Representative Jeanine Nodder. The topic of this week's show is parental alienation, and we'll be discussing House Bill 1323. The sponsor is Representative Kim Rice, who's also my best friend, and we match because we didn't mean to, but we have the same jacket. And Kim is the Vice Chair of the Children and Family Law Committee, formerly the Chair and Speaker Pro Tem. And next to her is our good friend, Dr. Debra Childs, who is the Executive Director of Time to Put Kids First. And you're both returning guests to the show, so it's so good to see you both.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
We're thrilled about this bill.
So tell me about it.
So it is putting parental alienation in the statutes. It's defining it. It's providing remedies for those that are victims. And it's something that we hear a lot about in our committee, but it was actually, I've lived it. I watched my husband go through it with his older son who was alienated, and now he's back, but I call him a kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's like 30, but you know, he suffers from self-esteem issues. He has tremendous guilt to which nothing is his fault, right? Like what happened to him and the way his mom turned him against his dad, that's not his fault, right? That's on his mother. So I've seen the effects that this has on human beings, on kids, on kids who have been alienated and then become adults. It has long-lasting effects. And now, even sadder, he doesn't even speak to his mother. And it shouldn't be like that. You know, kids should have the ability to have a relationship with both of their parents.
Right.
And if I could legislate human behavior, that's what I would do. Please think of your children. Think of what's in their best interest. Don't be self-serving. Don't think just of yourself or how angry you are. We know divorce is very acrimonious most of the time, you know, but at one point you loved each other enough to bring a child into this world, and you should be doing what's best for that child, not trying to be the favorite or win them over at the expense of them losing another parent. It just shouldn't be like this. So this provides that, it, you know, like I said, it gives a good definition. It also has an explicit, and I want to emphasize this because we hear a lot of times domestic violence victims, what if it's not happening? But this has a good faith safety carve out for parents that are acting on reasonable beliefs of abuse or neglect. So, you know, we can't see the, you know, if a child is truly being abused and that parent's trying to get them away, that's a good faith reason, right? So this has been a long time coming. I was approached by our former colleague, the Honorable Cody Belanger, who is going through this currently, and he asked me to put in the bill, and it's something we've talked about for a very long time. Yeah. It's something that Debra and I have talked about for a very long time. We've been involved in the family court system for a long time.
So Debra's Dr. Childs.
Yes. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. And actually, if I may just step back a little
bit.
One, even before, you know, talking about what is parental alienation, I thought it was important to actually read what it says in the bill, because oftentimes people talk about what a bill is and say, oh, you should all support it. Well, I always encourage people, read what the bill says, because you may support it, you may not.
And not just the headline.
Yeah, exactly.
Read the entire bill.
Exactly, because we have had some opponents talking about the bill, and it's not actually what is in the bill. But parental alienation may not be a term that's familiar to everybody, but the concept, the phenomenon is very familiar. It's, you know,
just listening to the title, it sounds like a parent who abandons their child. Is that correct?
So I want to read the definition here, but at a high level, it is, you know, disparaging remarks, possibly encouraging a child to take sides in, you know, separation and divorce, and pitting a child against the other parent, things like
alienating the child.
Yeah, so alienating the child, and it can be a broader term. Lots of times people say parental alienation, but oftentimes if you're an alienated grandmother or grandfather,
And,
extended
yeah, I
family
was going
member,
to
which
bring
often
that
happens.
into the conversation
Right.
as well, because I
Yeah.
have experienced that on my side of the family.
Yeah.
So that term can still be used for that. But so in the bill, it says parental alienation means a pattern of behavior, conduct, or speech that would damage the relationship of the child and a parent, resulting in the child's fear, negative perception, rejection, or hostility toward their other parent. So, and I just want to be clear, this is a pattern of behavior. It's not slip of the tongue, I messed up here, or a
Right.
child overheard something. This is a pattern.
Yes.
So that's really important. And then it gives some, some examples like we talked about and like Representative Rice talked about. It includes but isn't limited to communicating disparaging remarks to a child about their other parent, using tactics to manipulate or coerce a child, and unjustified interference with parenting time. So that's in the bill.
And again, it brings remedies so that parents have an opportunity to go back to court to make up missed time is one of the things that can be afforded to them through the courts. And I think it's important because we hear a lot of times parents that have been alienated, they're not getting the remedy, and by the time you finally get into court, you finally get the relief, it's too late because so much damage has already been done to this child that the child is then going to go kicking and screaming. This gives them a pathway to seek immediate relief, to make sure they're still seeing their children. Because again, we know how important it is for children to have a meaningful relationship with both parents, regardless of how the parents feel about each other.
Right. And both sides of their extended family.
Exactly. Yes, definitely, Mimi.
We're all Mimis, aren't we?
Yes, we are. It's the Mimi crew.
Yes.
But so we had the hearing in Concord. It came out of committee on party lines, which was very shocking to me.
It is shocking.
This should not be a partisan bill because we want to do what's in the best interest of all children. Right. And to me, I just don't see how this is going to hurt children.
What was the objection?
Oh, there was a list.
You want me to talk
Doctor,
about it?
would you like to
talk about
get
a
into
few.
that?
So these are common talking points anytime this comes up, because we have been talking about parental alienation in statute for since 2014. I think you and I,
yes.
But even before then. But one thing that people say is that parental alienation is junk science. And I hope I wasn't insulting. I was I've heard it so many times, but like when I was testifying, I said, well, if somebody, calling a behavioral legal concept junk science really misunderstands law and science completely, because that's not what this is. It's, this is relying on observable behaviors and judicial fact finding. It has nothing to do with a medical diagnosis or anything like that. So if people say junk science, and again, I said, well, I was testifying that people use the word science all the time and they don't mean the literal term. And I think that came out after COVID. Everybody's like, oh, trust the science, or science this, science that.
Yeah.
It's not really, people overuse that. So when they say junk science, maybe they don't mean science, and maybe they're saying that parental alienation is not a thing. Because to say it's junk science, you're saying it doesn't exist. So show me somebody who has never heard of this before. Show me somebody who doesn't understand the impact of separation and divorce on a child.
How is it political? I don't get it.
Because the funny thing is many other states have in statute alienating behaviors without naming it. Parental alienation. Yeah. So this is in there. We're just giving it the name that it so rightly has earned.
Yeah.
And that has been out there for years. So to act like it's junk science, to me, is mind-blowing, and to not see the devastating effects that it has on children is what really bothers me about how it came out of our committee.
Yeah, I was surprised, and I guess I was also a little bit caught off guard here I am coming in providing testimony, and God bless you guys. I know it's so hard. I'm always impressed at how you guys can keep a straight face during some things.
Well,
and
sometimes.
Okay, I did call her out yesterday, but here I am, and many people come to you guys are there every day, but sometimes I have to beg parents to come out and please share your story. Please testify in support or in opposition of this bill. It's so important that you do, but it's so hard. I mean, some people have a hard time talking about their story. Some people are scared of losing their kids. Some people are intimidated by you and your title. So there's so many factors that go into that. So yesterday when I was testifying, I was a little caught off guard where I'm talking about, I got my doctorate in this.
Right.
And then I shared something, and then a legislator kind of blew it off. And it's like, you don't have to believe everything I say, but don't say it right after I made my statement and tell me I'm wrong. That was like a little,
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a little, that kind of caught me off guard. But I tried to, because a lot of these questions, the opposition, we've been hearing the same thing for years and years. Nothing new has come about. And so with this bill, I think it makes so much more sense. And we had support, really, because we attended recently the New Hampshire Bar Association and Family Court Judges of New Hampshire put on this wonderful training program. And one of the things that they talked about was, they're like, our opinions don't matter. We go by the law. Statute and the Constitution is our Bible. So we don't make up decisions. But then they went on to refer to parental alienation several times during this training program. Yep. And we're probably texting each other.
Yeah,
Did you hear
I think
that?
we were.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Did any of the judges come to testify?
No.
No. Well, I do believe that the governor has asked the department heads to not give testimony.
Stay neutral.
For or against, to stay neutral, which I think is
A lot of
a good
departments
idea.
stay
If we
neutral.
need
That was
information.
I was really impressed at, actually,
Yes.
during that program, they were staying neutral. And when we were trying to ask questions, so for example, so basically that emphasized the need for this, because they're using the term parental alienation. They're determining court cases today, and there's no definition, yet they use only the law. So where are they getting it from? It can't be consistent. You should, if you have a family court case, it shouldn't depend on which court you go to or who you have for a judge that day. It should be consistent, and that's what this does. It provides a consistent, definition, so judges know how to identify it. Exactly.
Also, so that the litigants, I hate to say litigants, but they also can have an expectation of what's in the law. They have a way to say what's happening in them. Some people may not realize what's happening or may not realize they're doing it.
Yes. That was one of the
They
things.
could get into a bad habit of always, making disparaging remarks about their spouse or their child's father or mother, and then not realize that it's just such a bad habit that's hard to break.
That was one thing that came out of I'm sorry, it just dropped.
It's all right. I know. We had a mic
I was
drop.
getting too passionate. I get passionate on this subject matter. Who needs a mic with my voice?
It's all good now. Yeah.
So Time to Put Kids First is a nonprofit. I started with my son, and we help families going through separation, divorce, and child custody issues. And parental alienation is a big topic for us. And we were hoping to decrease occurrences of it and hold people accountable, and educate on it. But one thing that caught us off guard, and we didn't expect, was when the first person came to us and said, "Oh my gosh, I saw your video. I'm doing that." When they admitted they were alienating.
Wow.
There are so many different levels of alienation, but a lot of it is unintentional. Like you vent, you mutter things under your breath or whatever. You roll, subtle rolling of the eyes, in front of your children. They see that. Kids pick up on everything. But that's one thing I'm hoping with this too, getting the awareness out there. Not only does this give consistency for judges, attorneys, and
Clients, the litigants, the
parents, families.
Yes.
Much more personal, but it provides awareness. So people understand it, and then more so start to understand not only the behaviors but the damage and the long-term damage it does to a child. Because sometimes there is intentional parental alienation, but a lot of it, I think, parents are mortified when they realize what they've done to their children.
What came to mind while you were saying that, I was remembering a talk from a long time ago, building your marriage, and try thanking your spouse once in a while. Like, hey, thank you for mowing the lawn. It looks really great. Thank you for putting the laundry away. Oh, thanks. Things like that. It's called honor. And I always try to remember that. And
I'm so happy. I do that all the time with my husband. I really do. Like, that makes me so happy. I honor him.
It's called honor. I remember that speech, and the man who gave the talk, it was very good. He was a pastor. So.
Oh, that's nice.
I love
and
that.
it reminds me of when we're working with parents, you can seriously dislike, you know, the mother or father of your child, but you both created that child.
Yes.
Right,
So
just
there has to be
and I've
something
known
you love.
plenty of people, they're terrible, a terrible husband or a terrible wife, but they're not terrible parents.
Right.
Right.
So why would you want to take your child's parent away? Unless they were like a really, you know.
Right. If there's abuse or
Criminal.
neglect, if there is domestic violence, right?
That's
Those
another story.
those are in here.
Yeah.
There are protections
So
for those
are the
cases
protections that you were
in the
talking
bill.
about. Okay.
You know, because yes, it happens. But in the long run, so for me personally, I was a victim of domestic violence with my younger 2 children's father. But he never hurt those kids, and I never kept them from him. They went down to where he lived. They stayed at, he didn't have a place to live. They stayed at their aunt's, and, you know, and I never told my kids what happened because they didn't need to know that. That's their dad. I mean, he's made his own decisions through life and has to answer for those, but you know, as far as I was concerned, I was not going to, you know, make them think any less of their father, because we have to remember, those kids come from both parents. If half of that child comes from that dad that you're saying what a horrible human being they are and all of that, then they're thinking, well, am I horrible? If I love him, am I horrible? I mean, it breaks, right?
Yeah,
I get
it
so
is
emotional about
and
it.
it's so deep and it's so long lasting. This is like kind of a silly story, but I was estranged from both of my parents, very contentious divorce, and there was some alienation. I won't get too much into that, but I was estranged from both of my parents for about 25 plus years. And when I reunited with both of them, I, you know, went there and said, hi, give me a hug. You know, they're divorced, obviously, but separately, I went and reunited with each of them, and we've been building a relationship ever since for the past 10 years. But the first time my dad said something nice about my mom, now I'm in my 50s, and my dad's in his 80s, and all he said was, you know what, your mom was a really good canner. She used to can.
Yeah.
That's all he said, and I was like glowing like a 5-year-old. I was like, it really makes a difference. It's very meaningful.
And it doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah, exactly.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
So
I have my aunt and her husband, they divorced a long, long time ago. But, you know, I see them once in a while because my cousins are they're his kids too. And I was really surprised. He said, oh, your aunt, that woman never complained about anything. She was a saint. I'm like, wow.
I mean, like Morgan and, my 2 older kids, their dad, I think he's wonderful. We have a wonderful relationship, you know, and my kids are all better for it. My first husband loves the 2 kids that aren't his. You know what I mean? Like we just have that type of a relationship because we know that that's what's best for our kids. You know, and that's all we want is healthy human beings that can grow up to have healthy relationships, you know, and just feel good about themselves. Because that's, as parents, that's our job. That's our job. So parents, do your job.
So there was a family in the news, I don't know how many years ago now. I knew the family. No indication that the father was a bad man. He was hurting his daughter sexually. And never would have suspected that. And that poor girl has got, well, the whole family has lasting effects.
Of course.
So much trauma. So of course he's been put away, as he should be. Just really terrible.
Yeah,
I
mean,
never would have guessed something. But I wouldn't know this. I don't know. Is there a way to know? It's the same thing like with suicide. Like you can't tell. I don't pick up on the signs.
When I was in the abusive relationship, I remember after I finally broke free and he was gone, he had come up to one of the kids' things at school. And I worked there, and one of the parents said to me, "Wow, why'd you break up with him? He's so good looking and charming." And I said, "Yeah, they usually are." I said, because no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. You know, you can be as charming as you want to be, but no one knows it. And it's usually not until someone is ready to speak out. And listen, domestic violence does not just happen to women. Let's make that clear. Okay, there are plenty of women out there who are abusers. You know,
don't get me going.
Right, right. So, well, because I just don't want this to seem one-sided.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
it's a problem, and you know, I think it's abuse sometimes. I do. I do think it's abuse sometimes. I think people, you know, parents yell at each other, and I think if the amount of women that got restraining orders because their husband yelled at them were the same amount as men that got restraining orders because their wives yelled at them, we'd be outnumbered.
Oh,
okay.
I was listening to a news show driving along one day, and this guy that called in was saying that his spouse or girlfriend, whoever she was, said, "This is how it's going to go. I'm going to smack my head on that coffee table, and I'm going to call the cops and say that you hurt me, and they're going to believe me." I'm like, oh, I mean, that this happens?
It does.
It's awful.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, when that happens, you really negate the real cases, the real women who are in danger, the real men who are in danger.
Yeah, but it's already hard enough for people to share their story, and they don't think they're going to be believed. But yeah, it's hard to believe when there's so many false.
The other extreme is, you know, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and there's been times where we've had bills in the State House that was kind of the opposite effect, where mostly the guy would be considered guilty until proven innocent, and you can't do that. You can't do that either. So it's a very fine line, and it's not easy. And you have a lot of emotional bills that come to your committee.
It's heavy.
Yeah. I think you guys have done so much good work, especially in recent years. I mean, last year we passed a Parental Bill of Rights. We passed shared parenting. You passed shared parenting after, 2 decades
the Parental Bill of Rights was also partisan, right?
Yes. Well, we can call it bipartisan. I think there were at least
we did have 2, I think. Oh, was it 6?
Yeah,
I
don't want to say names and call them out.
Right, but they did.
We actually had a Democratic member who spoke on the floor in support of it. Yeah,
yes.
I can say that, right? Rep. Jonah Wheeler.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Jonah. He's such a good
guy. When I was chair of that committee, I would say, leave the R and the D at the door.
Right.
You know, children are not partisan. Yeah. Well, children are not political.
After this one passed OTP out of your committee, then did you guys unanimously ITL the next one or something? You agreed. So it was like, okay, this is good.
We don't
always agree.
We have a consent calendar, and that's where everybody agrees to either kill a bill or pass a bill.
And there's a lot of bills on there. So I don't want people to think we're constantly at each other's throats, because we're not. We do recognize, but sometimes we just have different beliefs. A lot of times we may agree on the outcome, but disagree on the method to get there. So, it's not, people only see on the news what's the word? Is controversial, that we don't agree on, right?
It gets the news. It gets people watching.
It does,
because it's not interesting to hear about. They all get along.
Nobody wants to hear about us getting along, but we do.
Like 80%. I think it's like 80% of the bills.
So it's not,
Depends on the committee too. Like when I was a freshman, they told me that municipal and county was the least partisan. I'm like, oh. I should check out that committee. I'm like, I read those bills. I read all the bills every week, and the municipal and county just makes me yawn.
That's why it's great we have a diverse group, because some of the, like science and tech, they love science and tech. And I'm like, God bless
that's
you.
And I'm just like,
I'm sorry.
Well, Dick put me on that committee, and I stayed. This is my,
and it's,
how many years? This is my 16th year in the house.
but I'm like, I am like science and technology, and no offense to you, Jeanine, or your committee, but every time we hit that spot in the calendar, I have to take a walk. I cannot listen to a 10-hour diatribe on stuff I have no understanding of.
Well, that's what the speaker says. We don't know what you guys are talking about, but I try to break it down. When I speak at the well, I always break it down.
And you're quick. Some of your colleagues are not.
Yeah, they're going on. Can you drop your mic again? We had another mic drop. Let's just spin the show.
I'm done.
Boom. All right, we
like,
just have like a minute and a half left.
Debra's not invited
Anything
back.
that you want to say?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, I hope that people appreciate this bill, but more importantly, I wish we didn't need it. And I wish that parents would be adults and do the right thing by their children. And that may sound harsh, but it's a harsh reality.
And I would say I'm happy to answer any questions. I mean, I can go on this subject matter for hours. So if anybody has questions or concerns, but I'd encourage people to reach out to your state rep. So it came out of the Children and Family Law Committee with a recommendation to pass. It does have an FN. Not sure if
Fiscal note.
Yeah, don't know if the Finance Committee will waive it off or not. But that may prevent us from getting out. Oh, we couldn't get it on consent anyway. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
But
There will be a minority report.
And there will be a floor fight.
House Bill 1323.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to the Senate.
It was great to see you both on the show. I know we didn't plan this,
you.
but we're wearing matching
We do
jackets,
this
and I
all the
just noticed
time.
that you two are wearing matching pins.
We are.
So I want to get in the pin club too.
You do?
Uh-oh.
Does that mean, can I say it out loud?
You can say it, yeah.
So does that mean you're going to support Representative Jim Kofalt for Speaker? Because that's why I've got mine on.
Great pins.
Doesn't
Yeah, so this
he?
is Speaker Packard's pin. This is Representative Kofalt's
Well,
pin.
you know, the candidates for Speaker, the ones that I know about, would all be wonderful, and I would be very happy under all of them. But I am in the majority office, and I can't go against my boss in the majority office.
And
even though I
Representative
think he's
Kofalt
awesome.
isn't asking for anybody to
Right.
commit. Really, the reason
Right.
that he announced was because there are 3 other members who are actively campaigning. So he just wanted to say, I'll be running too. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, and good luck with your bill. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks.